What's up, guys? And here I have the long-awaited, most anticipated smartphone of 2013. It's the Nexus 5. Now, I know there's a lot of reviews out there, and rather than adding another one to that pile, I decided to do something a little bit different. Instead, I'm going to be telling you why I believe the Nexus 5 is the best smartphone of 2013. So without further ado, let's get started. Before I begin, I want to talk about the Nexus line of phones for those of you that are new to Android. The Nexus program is something that Google, in conjunction with specific OEM manufacturers, created with developers in mind. It offered developers a clean slate for either app development or further hardware testing, but at the same time it offered a glimpse of the future of what Android's supposed to be, and also pushed OEM manufacturers to create better phones. But since then, the Nexus 5 has become more of a mainstream device, and I think that's why the reviews out there can be a bit skewed, mainly because our expectations are different from what's currently out there in the marketplace. Buying a phone can be a bit tricky because there's a lot of factors that come into play. I think it's almost like if you ever play a video game and you have a character that's really strong and big, but he's just slow, right? And then you have the other character that's really fast, but he's not as strong. I think that's how phones are. You have specific features of a phone, but then they lack somewhere else. But there's always that character that is the most well-balanced. It has, generally good speed. It has, overall good strength. And I think that's where the Nexus 5 pretty much is. It is the most well-rounded phone currently available in 2013. And as probably you've already seen or heard on the reviews, the speed on this guy is a beast. It's really fast. Overall, everything about it is good. There's nothing that I could say that is terrible. I know some of you, and I will address the negativities on the battery life. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and dive right into the battery life. Let's put it this way. The battery life on this is better than the Nexus 4, but not the worst that I've seen on any smartphone. But I think it gets critiqued quite a bit, mainly because there's phones out there like the Moto X that offer better battery life. But you also have that sacrifice, the sacrifice of a more duller display. You have the sacrifice of a phone that is not as fast as the Moto X. Granted, yes, the Moto X is smooth, but it doesn't offer nearly the same type of speed performance as the Nexus 5. So I think a lot of times, and I'm going to use a lot of car analogies, so I apologize that, you're buying a race car to go grocery shopping, but you're complaining about the gas mileage. See, again, the intended purpose of the Nexus line was not for the average consumer, even though it has now become a thing where you buy a Nexus phone, and that's good, nothing bad. But overall, when you compare the camera, and I know some of you said that has a bad camera, let me put it to you this way. Go on Google+, look at all the Nexus 5 pictures, including some of them that I posted, video also. It is a very good camera. As a matter of fact, overall, everything about the phone is good. Like I said, it is the most well-balanced phone out there, and that can be said about many devices out there. Now, jumping back to the battery, and not to apologize for the Nexus 5, because like I said, I think it has a really good battery. But all of a sudden, when people review these phones, they become travelers. Nobody has a charger in hand. Come on, let's face it, even the best phones out there with great battery lives, we're always in a position where, at least I am, and I know most people are, where you have a charger in place in your car, at your office, at home. So to have that, let's just call it range anxiety, where, oh my goodness, the battery life sucks. Any phone that I've owned, if I'm at my office, it gets plugged in directly as soon as I get there. It doesn't matter if it will last me all day. So I think a lot of times we're a little bit too critical when it comes to that. Now, remember, development in mind, Franco kernel. Well, before I get to Franco kernel, let's talk about the battery life. I usually get between 4 to 5 hours of battery life on this phone with normal to heavy use. And as you can see here, 4.5 hours, and I would consider this a normal day. Now, Franco kernel, just flashed it, actually 2 days. I'm not going to report or talk about it, but it has been insanely good. So can you improve? Yes. The battery life can be better. And I know some of you are going to say, well, you have to root it and do all this stuff. But remember, this is a Nexus phone. Most people that buy a Nexus phone, like most people that buy a Porsche, Ferrari, are enthusiasts. They don't care about the gas mileage. They're there for the ultimate performance, and there's going to be sacrifices. In terms of display, 1920 by 1080, I don't have to tell you, very good display. Speakers, also pretty good. Not the worst I've heard, not the best either. Again, overall, Nexus 5, good. Everywhere around is a good phone. The footprint on this device is very similar to the Nexus 4. So if you, or even the Moto X. So if you've held one of these devices in your hand, you're not going to have trouble holding this one despite it having a 5-inch or 4.95 to be exact, or 4.97, something like that, display. It feels very good, and I know it seems like every phone feels very good in the hands, but again, that is subjective. Some people, I've read or heard reviews, they don't like the feel. I love the minimalistic look. I think this device looks awesome. As a matter of fact, I think it looks like one of those Lamborghinis, you know, with the matte black. I mean, to me, that's just my opinion. Some of you out there might not have that same opinion. So clearly, this phone in general, for what you get for your money, is a very good phone. I've used every phone out there, every flagship phone out there, and I can honestly say does not compare to the Nexus 5. But where this phone really shines is the software, and I think that's why it's become more of a mainstream phone. You get the latest and greatest from Google, and let me tell you, the experience, the KitKat experience is where it's at. Google Now, great implemented launcher. As a matter of fact, I'm a huge fan of Nova Launcher. Since the release of KitKat, I've actually stopped using Nova Launcher and have decided to use the actual default launcher that comes with the Nexus 5. I love the fact that it's clean. I love that I can swipe to the left and I have my Google Now. I love that I can say, okay, Google. All of these things are really good. Yet I can see why people rush to get the latest update on their phone because of the experience. When I went shopping the other day, I went to Radio Shack. The tap to pay is excellent. No other phone offers that type of simplicity like the Nexus 5. And I think that's why the Nexus 5 is a very good phone. The overall experience, the package, it is well-rounded, kind of. The phone, it's in itself, it's a great phone. And using, like I said before, all of the latest Android flagship devices, I don't think anything compares to the Nexus 5. You just get a whole lot for your money, and that can be said about many phones out there. Another reason why I decided not to review the Nexus 5 is because if you go back, which I will be the very first link down below on my Nexus 4 review, pay attention to what I say. I think it's a really good review. It would just be redundant. Everything I said about the Nexus 4, or let's just say 99% of what I said about the Nexus 4, can be applied to the Nexus 5. So go ahead and I'll leave that link down below. And just like I said, pay attention to what I have to say. Really good phone, highly recommended. If you're new to Android, this is the phone to get. If you are an Android user looking to get a new phone, this is the phone to get. And of course, if you're an enthusiast, I don't have to tell you because you probably already own the Nexus 5. Now, before I sign off, I'm not saying that all of the other phones suck out there. By the way, my dad is currently the owner of a Note 3 because the Note 3 offers a better viewing experience for him. He's getting old, so he needs a phone that you can just see those buttons really big. So that phone was meant for him. He really liked this phone, but he just wanted a bigger phone. So again, every phone is different and has their needs for different people. This phone, I feel, fits the needs of most people out there. In general, if you're going to put your money down, I think this would be the phone to get. Overall, great experience. What do you guys think? Do you think the Nexus 5 is really a hot phone? Do you think it sucks? What's your phone? Let me know. Leave your comments down below. Until next time, adios. And as soon as I set this guy down, it begins to charge with no cables. So what I like about this is the portability. But one thing I truly like is this, that no other charger really can do. I'll show you really quick. Look at that. Pretty cool, right? It slip proof. So when you're driving, you could take this in your car, put it down, and it's not going anywhere. It has this really sticky back, and I'll show you. You can be charging this guy and something else. So let me go ahead and, sorry about that. Let me go ahead and plug something else so you can see